Here's my thing with some of these things. Like, there are certain things that you just have to do. You're at Texas A&M as a football coach, and your program has to, when you're playing in the SEC, you have to recruit elite talent and depth on the defensive line.
Hello, everyone. Welcome into TexAgs Rewind here on Wednesday, April 10th, 2024. David Nuno here. Cade Bickham is behind the glass. And, of course, I've got Callie Gardner there at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Callie, favorite part of the show?
I think my favorite part would have to be Brawny doing baseball in recruiting country and y'all's little skit that didn't go quite as planned, but I still thought it was funny.
I think when things don't go as planned, they can be funnier. But
I agree.
I think there was a little bit of miscommunication between the Liucci and the Noons. Cade, tell us what's on the Rewind today.
Well, we have the Go Hour, obviously, with OB and Nuno. Classic.
Was it classic or was it just a show?
It was pretty solid. It was
Okay.
It was the usual.
Yeah.
John Harris, once again, as usual, excellent. Obviously, Brawny with Recruiting Country, a little guest appearance from Billy there, and then Kendall Rogers, little baseball talk at the end.
Yeah, it was a good show. We did have some fun on the program. A lot of insight, though, from the Recruiting Country and all the other stuff. Check it out. It's the Rewind. But you never count this team out. It's like that's why they've only lost 4 games this year. What are they, 29-4, 30-4, something like that? And there's a reason that they win these games. They've had a couple of, also magic moments this year. And last night, Jackson Appel.
Yeah, it was that Bell magic.
With the 3-dinger night.
3 home runs, that walk-off. Brauninger saying, let's go home.
Let's go home.
It was a great end to a frustrating night. What's you've heard this. Everybody that follows sports heard this. Everybody listen to me knows this cliche is that the mark of a great team is winning when you don't play well.
And what did they made a lot of mistakes.
They made a lot of mistakes.
4 errors in the first 3 innings, I think I read.
Errors. There was base running mistakes.
Yep.
You had guys getting up. Your main guys getting up and not getting key hits, and yet that lineup is so powerful. You wonder who it's going to be on a given night. If it's not multiple guys, who's it going to be that's going to be the star? And it was Jackson Appel.
Am I right? I think he had 3 home runs coming into the game.
Yeah, I heard him say that. So he doubled his.
He's doubled in one evening,
and he needed it to win the and you won. And they were all opposite field. It was that's the kind of performance that someday he'll be telling his grandkids. Well, let me tell you about the time I hit 3 home runs in the game winner in one game.
Well, and hopefully he's got more of that magic left because look, this team's gonna find some adversity. That's the best kind of win, by the way, because so close to losing, but you learn the lessons in that kind of game.
Yeah, I know
right?
what you're saying, but to me the best
20-0.
It's 10-0 walk off, and I don't have to worry about it. But for building
a
confidence
team.
And building culture and all those things, yes, you are absolutely right.
Do you have Dallas Turner as the best defensive prospect? Is that what I read, Johnny?
I do.
I
do.
Why is that?
Well, there are a couple things. Number one, I don't think the defensive prospects in this draft are tremendous, to be honest. But when I started looking at, honestly, who was in the draft, Dallas Turner is the most explosive off the edge. He obviously plays a priority position, playing out on the edge. He can do anything you ask. He's gotten bigger. He's kind of added to his pass rush repertoire. He's already twitchy and athletic and all those kind of things. He's sudden off the edge. He's football violent. He got, not more clutch, but he started making bigger plays with Will Anderson out of the mix. He got a few more opportunities to be kind of feature rusher. He handled double teams a little bit better this year. He's just a guy you look at it and go, could you see him in a locker room? Could you see him starting week 1, day 1 for an NFL team? Is he built the way you want? And the answer is yes to all those questions. There's nobody that you look at other positions and go, man, are you better at your position than this guy? And it just isn't. This just isn't. And I don't want to take away from Dallas Turner because then Dallas Turner would be top 10 in a lot of drafts. But last year's draft, he would have been, to me, at least the 3rd defensive player off the board behind both Will Anderson, Jalen Carter. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else I would put in that mix. This just isn't a defensive draft. And that'll show itself in a couple of weeks, David. You're going to see quarterbacks, wide receivers, offensive tackles go off the board. Boom, boom, boom. They're just coming off the board. But you'll see a few rushers go off the board because that's obviously a priority position. The corners will start coming off the board probably middle of the round. There are some good corners, but there's just nobody better at his position that projects to be that kind of rusher at the NFL like Dallas Turner. Then I know a lot of people are like, well, look at his numbers. His numbers aren't great. Yeah, I don't get lost in numbers when it comes to draft stuff. There are all kinds of reasons why guys may not be totally productive. But I watch Dallas Turner. There are times in the game where he can take it over. He can run a guy down from behind. He's 4.4 speed at 200 and almost 50 pounds. I mean, those guys are freakazoids. You don't find them at Walmart. You got to go to special, aisles at Nordstrom's to find guys like that.
I've done a little research. They've had some guys he was going to have to fend off to, keep that full-time starting. The guys, though, started almost 40 games in his career. And this year started all season in the Big 12.
Team captain.
I love that, too, by the way. 2-time team captain. And I love that, roughly 25 tackles for loss, 150 tackles. This is a veteran leader. That's what you're getting in him, but he also is a guy that's proven he can make plays. He's a big SEC caliber body. I read he looks like a guy that could play that strong side end in Elko's defense or move inside if he needs to on passing downs.
Well, I think, too, we got to look at, with the commitment of Landon Rink in the high school ranks and then the addition of Celiscar, that's 6 additions out on the defensive line since December. You go back to Kendall Jackson, Solomon Williams, Nick Scorton, Cassius Howell, Rodis Johnson, and now Celiscar.
Well, you lost a few, too.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is a lot of people were wondering what was going to happen at that position. Obviously, the passing of Terry Price took a big hit on it, but then when Elijah chose to pursue that job in Syracuse, that was a position that had been so well recruited and so well developed for a long time that I think a lot of A&M fans and even us as analysts were looking at it and going, okay, you really need to keep that train running. And for Sean Spencer and Tony Girardetti, I think you'd have to give them a huge check mark in that box since they've arrived and really taken a hold here in College Station. They've been sensational. And they're going to sign what happens if your next defensive line addition is out of the high school ranks and it's DJ Sanders?
Yeah. Here's my thing with some of these things. There are certain things that you just have to do. You're at Texas A&M as a football coach, and your program has to, when you're playing in the SEC, you have to recruit elite talent and depth on the defensive line.
How about Troy Wansing, too? Look, he didn't have his best stuff for obvious reasons, but the fact that he could be back and helping, and he is back, I should say.
Yeah, just getting him back in the mix. Clearly he's a talented arm. If you look back at the spin rates last year, he's got pretty good spin rates. Now he needs to, throw more strikes and command the zone. But just getting another option, another look. One thing we've talked about the last couple of weeks is just how many different looks the A&M pitching staff can give you, and he is yet another look and a look that can get in the low 90s. I think I want to say he bumped 93, 94 a few times when I saw him last year. So, yeah, just, we'll see how he does moving forward. It's not going to be easy for him to get innings over some of these guys that are already, performing at a high level. But, it's early, like you said. First outing back from an injury, we'll see what he does.
Kendall, also, I think it's must-watch television coming this weekend, A&M and Vandy. Is that the biggest matchup this weekend? Is there something that can compete with that?
Yeah, it's the biggest one. I think if you look at A&M and Vandy, what's really interesting about these two teams, and I kind of talked about this going into the LSU series on some LSU stations, is when you look at Vanderbilt, they're really interesting in the sense that they only have 9 home runs as a team in conference play. A&M has 24 home runs as a team in conference play. So this is not a club that builds their offense around needing to hit the long ball. Now, 2 of those home runs over the weekend, 2 of those 9 in conference play were from Braden Holcomb. Obviously, after the weekend he had against LSU, it'll be interesting to see what he can do at A&M. I'm guessing the win, based on the weather expectation, I'm guessing the wind's going to be blowing out to left field and to center. So we'll see what kind of weekend he has. Obviously, it was great at LSU, but I just think on paper, A&M is a big advantage for me. I think they match up just fine pitching wise. I mean, Carter Holden has been really good, for Vandy. So is Bryce Cunningham. But it's not like A&M's, weekend guys who chopped liver either. I mean, Ryan Prager has been really good. So I think A&M has a big advantage. They can hit the long ball. They're way more offensive. But when it comes to Vandy, I'd say keep it on Alan Espinal. He's a guy that can really, really make things go for them. If he has a big weekend in College Station, that can change the dynamic of that series just a little bit.
Callie, I feel like this has been a kind of a tame rewind. Have you noticed that? Like
I think it has.
So, in your most angry voice, tell the people what to do.
Yeah. I don't think I have an angry voice. My parents might disagree, but I don't think I have an angry
Not
voice.
here at TexAgs, at least, right?
No.
So tell the people what to do if you don't mind.
Y'all should y'all need to like, comment, subscribe, and share.
Kay, do you have an angry voice you can do it?
I don't think I have.
Y'all need to
comment.
Seriously, you need to comment. You need to subscribe.
Comment, subscribe now, share, do it.
I think mine
Do it.
seemed real. I feel like I was talking to my kids. Did Cade seem real?
Yours was definitely more real than his was.
Hey, for real, you better start liking. If you don't start commenting, it is over. You're going to clean the baseboards. Sorry, we'll see you next time.